Do you love Latin music? And how about dancing to it? Shimmy to the sounds of the drums and the conga? Feel a natural euphoria with this music when you dance to it? Well, then what are you waiting for? Click subscribe. Don't forget the audio podcast version on all podcast apps. Hello and welcome to your Ageless Musical Brain podcast. I'm Luz Elena Blanco, Lucy, and this is the show where dance, music, and the arts are in sync with brain health. Think preventive through physical activity and increasing cognition in older Latinos and Hispanics. My very special guest today is a professor and department head at University of Illinois Chicago Department of Kinesiology and Nutrition. He is the director of Exercise Psychology Laboratory that aims to reduce health disparities. For more than 15 years as a kinesiology professor, he has conducted research on the effectiveness of regular physical activity in maintaining health and cognitive functioning for older adults, particularly the aging population of Latinos, including examining the factors that influence the incidence and prevalence of Alzheimer's disease among older Latinos. Here to tell us more is Dr. David Marquez. Welcome back to the show, Doctor. I'm so happy to have you back.
Yeah, thank you, Lucia. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk about this topic that we both like to talk about.
Regarding Latinos and their accessibility to dance, you've stated, dancing is a highly relevant cultural activity that many Latinos have done in their lives, whether it's family parties or going clubbing back in the day. But for many older Latinos, it's just not available now for the most part.
People have immigrated to the United States. There might not be as many places to go to that are playing Latin music, that have Latin dancing in general relative to the home country. There aren't as many places for older Latinos or older adults in general to dance. So they might want to, but then they think, okay, where am I going to go? I don't want to go to a club with all these young people and, crowded, loud places. Some will want to, and some do. But in general, people won't have as many places to go to. So the thought with Bailamos is how can we have dance opportunity through a program that's meant for, developed for, and available to older adults.
The environmental factors that also contribute to them not having as much opportunity, for example, here in New York or over there where you live, right, in Chicago, where you have apartment buildings, or the weather.
To be physically active, yes, there are environmental issues. I mean, in Chicago today, it was probably the high was in the teens or the 20s, I think. And so people are less likely to go outside. If there's snow or ice, older adults have more of a fear of falling because if they fall, it can be really drastic to their health. And so that might keep people from going outside, to being outside, walking their neighborhood. For some people, it's safety concerns. If there's a lot of crime in their neighborhood, they might not feel comfortable going out for a walk. Indoor activities, say at a community center or at a senior center, assuming people are able to get there, then you don't have to worry about it. It's climate controlled because it's inside. And so if there's issues of safety with crime or loose dogs or something, you don't have that because you're inside. So there are a lot of advantages to types of physical activity that can happen indoors. We've done Bailamos dance program in person, a group, and those who have come have been able to have really enjoyed it. What tends to happen is that people's lives are busy,
right,
and they have difficulty going to a center, week after week after week to do the dancing. Not that they don't want to, but a lot of things are going on in their lives, family stuff, or a lot of people are still working, so they might not be able to, doctor's appointments. So we adapted the program to offer it remotely in our most recent funding.
Aside from it being for enjoyment. It's also a research program. Can you tell us more about the findings?
The current study that we have, and like you said, it is research. What's great about it is that it's physical activity programs that we can offer at no cost to people because we have grant funding. You know, it's a research study, so we have
Yeah.
funding to offer it, which is phenomenal. And so, in this funding from the CDC, we're calling it the Cerebro study. It's related. It's mostly about cognition, and
Right.
so we have two different programs that people are randomized into. One is the Bailamos dance program, but offered remotely, which was new, and Fit and Strong. So this is a more traditional exercise program. It was developed by my friend and colleague, Dr. Susan Hughes. And this is more traditional in terms of like walking, resistance training with ankle weights, and a behavioral component with goal setting and that type of thing. And so that is also offered remotely in this Cerebro study. So it's trying, the hope is that maybe it can get out to more people
Right.
if it's offered remotely.
You actually connect to your senses
Mhm.
and feel the rhythms. As you
Mhm.
know, as Latinos,
Mhm.
we we move the shoulders with the drums. And as a person from Cali, Colombia, I can tell you, you
Mhm.
got the conga, right? And the timbales and the cowbell, right? Bring those on
Uh-huh.
for me, So I highly encourage that, every time I get an opportunity on the show and with people that I know, it's that feeling. And so the older I get, the more I feel that. You
Yeah.
see? Do you feel that Latinos or older Latinos are a great example of, hey, you know what? I'm loosening up like I used to when I was younger, or are they more conscientious like younger
Yeah, no,
people?
I think that the people in our studies definitely get into it, right?
Yeah,
They feel the music.
yeah,
They, really are interested, and they're moving and they're learning some new dance moves potentially, and really allow themselves
yeah.
to just let go in a sense. In this version of the in the Cerebro study, in the Bailamos dance program part, it was through Zoom. We offered it through Zoom. So people, they could see other people. The benefit of that is the social aspect of it, right?
Right.
So you're not just dancing by yourself, which would be fine, but they get to dance with other people in a way, but not physically in the same room as the other people. So they really, I don't think the self consciousness is really there a whole lot. It could also be a little bit of self selection into the study,
Yeah.
right? So the people that are less self conscious, maybe they're the ones that volunteer for these kinds of research studies. But whatever the reason is, they definitely get into it and enjoy it and kind of let themselves go.
Yeah, because this program has been around for I think 2 years now, right? This
Well,
research.
this particular study from the CDC, Cerebro, has been going on for 2 years. Yes, the Bailamos dance program I created with Miguel Mendez about 15 or 16 years ago.
Oh, it was
So
that
we've been
far
doing
back.
studies more in person over the past about 15 years. The vast majority of the students that work with me, whether it be undergraduate students or graduate students, I
Yeah,
identify as Latino or Latina. And so it's so cool to have them involved. The reason that they're getting involved is because they've seen poor health in their families.
yeah,
They believe in the power of physical activity and maybe the power of dance.
yeah,
And so they want to be involved in this research that can help people improve their health. And the people happen to be Latinos and they identify with that. And it is actually a difference that I've seen with students. A lot of the students, they're high achievers.
yeah,
So, if they're undergraduate students, a lot of them are going to go on to say medical school, physical therapy school, physician assistant school. So they need to do things to kind of get ahead.
yeah,
But there's a difference between somebody who's only doing it for those reasons
yeah,
and somebody who's connected to the culture,
yeah. Oh,
right?
yes,
It's much
absolutely.
more personal for them. So
Yeah,
I mean, they benefit and we benefit as well. We all kind of benefit from their participation.
And so do you keep in contact with some of these participants, and for you to be able to see their growth? I think that's the most
I've
exciting part
tried.
of this, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And I've tried in some of the places where we had offered the program in person, they still offer the space so that the people can continue dancing, even though, say, it might have been 10 years ago that they participated in the study. So that's wonderful. I don't get to see too many people, anymore, to see them dancing now. But and I run another study as well, and so some of them are participants in that one, and I get to see them in that way.
Do you see that encouragement with their family members?
Oh yeah, I mean, so with research, the person has to agree to be in the research, right?
Right.
That said, a lot of times when we are recruiting for our studies, it's the adult children, right? Somebody in their 30s or 40s that says, "Hey, I heard about this study. I'd like my mom to be a part of it, or I'd like my dad to be a part of it." And we say, "That is wonderful. Please have them give us a call." Because we can't make anybody do research, right? It has to be there. But it's great that they see it and that they're thinking about their parents. How, oh, this could help my mom or my dad, my grandpa improve their health. Yeah, I'm going to pass on that information.
Yeah. Do you see older Latinos in these programs put younger people to shame, younger generations to shame? In other words, like they got these moves, right? And then they say to the younger generations, "Hey, come on, join me," you know? Yeah, you see that?
There's always going to be those people who really excel at the dancing. Maybe they have more experience, or maybe they just pick it up really quickly. We've had a
Or it could
combination
be
of
in your veins
people.
too, right? In your
Yeah,
DNA. That's it.
fear is in
Yeah.
them. We have had people who used to dance a lot when they were younger,
Yeah.
and so they're happy to have the opportunity again. We've also had people who said, I wasn't allowed to dance. Like my parents wouldn't allow me to dance when I was younger,
Yeah.
but now I have the opportunity, so I'm interested in like starting now, learning now in my 60s, 70s
Yeah.
plus.
Do you know that that actually happened to me? I want to
Wow.
share that with you.
Okay.
Yes, when I was around 9 years old,
Hmm.
I heard. I of course, like I heard the percussion. And my first instinct was, I just got up, and it was a family party. I'm talking about family and friends.
That's
And
cool.
my mother would take her arm and put it across from me like a seat belt. And you know what she told me? I'll never forget. She said, "Sit down. A little girl is not supposed to show the desire to dance so quickly." In
Yeah.
her mind, she probably thought, "Hey, you know what? Maybe because like it was a flirty thing." So that
Right.
was
Right.
unfortunately part of what I ended up, living when I was
Hmm.
little. And oh my
Hmm.
God. And I got to tell you, throughout my lifetime, whenever I was, in Colombia, I suffered because, oh my God, I want to dance. And then, I guess that's the reason why now I have this show. You know
Yeah,
what?
exactly.
Because, like they say in Espanol, rienda suelta,
Uh,
right? You
yeah.
just let that rope loose because let me
Yes.
tell you, it is something that I have become so passionate about through the years. And I realized that myself. I said, wait a minute, whenever I feel down, whenever I feel depressed, even when I feel lethargic, I
Hmm.
have pushed myself to dance. So I did dance aerobics for about
Yeah.
16 years.
Okay.
And I continued. And then I realized myself, I was like, what is going on here? There's something good. There's
Yeah.
something good I got to share. What is it? And through the years, then I started speaking with neuroscientists, which
Cool.
I've gotten in contact with them, and they've been on the show. And I got to tell you, this is such an important topic. And you know what? That becomes a habit
Yeah.
because I can tell you, I live it. I'm
Hmm.
not saying my life is perfect. I'm not saying I don't have any problems. It's not about that. It's about taking advantage of that tool, which is music
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
instruments that you hear, right?
Hmm.
And it's such a
Hmm.
blessing to be able to hear those instruments and to feel them and just letting go. And that through time, also helps us with neuroplasticity. It's a great thing, and it's so awesome what you do.
Then when you add in the movement,
Yeah.
so now your heart rate's getting elevated higher, then you can get those health benefits as well. The thing about dance, I mean, it's one thing to say dance around your living room, right? That's
Yeah.
good. If you're dancing with a partner, then the brain is engaged even more, right? Because then
Yeah.
you're like working with somebody else and trying to understand how are they going to move, where are they going to move, and you respond accordingly. Or if you're leading them, they respond to you. And so it's a great combination of all of these individual parts that help us,
Yeah.
right? Improve our health, improve our lives. It's kind of like all in one.
Yeah. Yeah. But if a person dances a lot by themselves, I think you can guess I'm asking you the question because I do that a lot. And so I know that the brain is more involved when you're dancing with someone else, because when you're behind someone, like say you're in a dance studio, right,
Hmm.
and you have the mirror, and then the instructor says, okay, to the right, okay, to the left, and honestly, I tend to get confused with that. So I'm not
Yeah,
that good of a follower.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like
I,
I'm
I
myself. I
I get
just
that
do
personally
what I
too.
feel,
Yeah,
and that's it.
it's
Yeah.
movement. It's good,
It's just good.
right?
So it's still good. Oh, thank you. That
Oh,
just makes me feel so
absolutely
much
is.
better.
No, 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 absolutely is. And the research shows that it's not, just what I think or other people think. It's so much is about moving your body
Yeah.
and the physical benefits that we get from that. Your
Yeah.
blood gets moving, your brain gets engaged with it. We all sit, we need to sit, we need to
Hmm.
rest, but a lot of our lifestyles are sitting a lot. To get up and move, it's how do you want to move your body, right?
Yeah.
And so, whatever 40, 50 plus years ago, we thought, oh, well, you have to like be a runner, right? You have to run marathons. Or, that saying that came out, no pain, no gain.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true, right? Like
Yeah.
we know from the science, that's not true. You do not have to, go
Suffer.
through, you don't have to suffer through physical activity to gain benefits. No, not at all. And that's what I love about, that we have some science behind the dance as well. So,
Yeah.
when I talk to lifetime dancers or instructors, they know, they feel it, they've lived it, right?
Yeah.
But then we put the scientific method to it. Okay, let's design a study to see what happens when you take people who weren't dancing, older adults, in this case, older Latinos, and then you give them a dance program in what happens. And many times, not only their physical activity levels go up because they're coming to dance class, but now they feel better and they feel more confident. So they're doing more activity outside of the dance class,
Yeah.
right? Maybe they don't sit as much also. And then you get those benefits, cognitive benefits. We've shown some memory benefits
Yeah.
of being in a dance program. And so it's good that we're not thinking like we did a long time ago that you have to be in pain from physical activity to get health benefits.
Research studies that are happening right now, if you can share those.
One is with um, people who have some sort of cognitive impairment already,
Yeah.
and maybe what can movement do for people like that. So you mentioned at the start of this episode, right? Preventative. I
Yeah.
mean, we know physical activity and moving your body reduces your risk of like almost every negative health condition,
Yeah.
right? Reduces
Right.
your risk of having high blood pressure and diabetes, depression, anxiety. Doesn't mean it's going to cure us or we'll
Right.
never have that, but it reduces the risk or the chance that we're going to have those things. Um, so we have that preventative part. Now there's some research. Okay, what about people that already have cognitive impairment, right? So what if they already have Alzheimer's disease, then if they are physically active, what might that movement do for them? To be honest, the results are not very strong yet.
Mm.
Physical activity like dance might be best as preventative.
Yes.
um, and then there's some logistical things as well, like you mentioned the desire to move your body, which is great. But
Mhm.
what if somebody doesn't have that desire? What if they have cognitive decline?
Right.
Like I said, you can't make people do things. You want to encourage people, but if they're
Right.
not feeling it, then they might not do it. And
Right.
so it becomes a little bit more difficult, but I think that's exciting. There's so many studies that are exciting because people are being innovative in what they're um, having people do
Yeah.
in research studies. There's a lot of mindfulness studies now as
Yeah.
well. How can being mindful and maybe meditation, and then if you take that in combination with something like dance, so we can combine different interventions or programs. So to me, that's really exciting.
What about Latino caregivers? As a Latino caregiver, you bring a lot of value into the picture,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So, and there's growing research into the lives of Latino caregivers and what can be done to help them. And there's a lot culturally that goes into that. So we know that, as people have this cognitive decline, um, for some people, an option is to go into a care facility,
Right.
like an assisted living, like a nursing home. There are many Latinos who will say that's not an option at all. Like, we're going to care for my mom or dad or grandma, grandpa in the house, you
Right.
know? And so, doing it out of love, it can be really difficult though, because it's cognitive decline. If it's something like Alzheimer's disease, it's progressive,
Yes.
right? And it will decline and keep declining and not, improve in that way. And that is really stressful, right? It can be, people will get physically exhausted, depressed, anxious about the future and what's going to happen. Sometimes there's financial stress too, because how can you work and take care of somebody who needs help, various levels of help? And so,
Right.
yes, for there, the the number of Latinos with Alzheimer's is rising,
Yes.
and so therefore, there's also a large number of caregivers of these loved ones. Many
Yeah.
times, it's out of love that, let's say, unfortunately, people will neglect their own health because they're so focused on the loved one.
I have a very close family member. Her son couldn't
Yes.
pay for the two caregivers. Were very, very good to her, but he came home very late, and it came a moment where he just couldn't take it. He didn't know what to
Yeah.
do, and of course, thinking of mom first, and as the
Yeah.
only son, he had no other choice than to put her in a nursing home. And
Absolutely.
this is in Colombia, a
Right.
country that has a history, that has had a history. Us taking care of our own.
Yes.
But him, as the only child, is like the last resort. Put her in the first nursing home. She didn't feel good. Nobody felt
Mhm.
good about her being there. Guess
Yeah.
what happened in the second one where she was brought? She transformed herself. You know why?
Mhm.
Because you know what they did? They got them up dancing and singing. And you know what she
Yes.
has? The oxygen. And she's dancing.
Yeah.
So, and she's focused on the moves. This is a perfect example. Hey, it's not about the nursing home. Talk about what the
Right.
music does itself.
Yeah. There are, stories of people that, you know, maybe with Alzheimer's, um, and then a certain song comes
Yeah,
on and they start singing.
yeah,
And then they're smiling, and if they're able to, maybe then they move their bodies around, or even if they're seated,
yeah,
they can still move their bodies, in
yeah,
that way. it,
yeah,
it definitely touches people in different kinds of ways.
yeah.
And so, having activities that are available for the people, no matter where they are, whether it's in your home or elsewhere, are just so important.
Yeah. Like I used to be a caregiver, And so I used to go to different homes, here in Staten
Hmm.
Island.
Okay.
And I had one experience I'll never forget. Oh my goodness. When I left that house, I thought to myself, did I go to work today? You know why? I felt so good. I was there like for 4 days a week, four
Okay.
hours,
Uh-huh.
and the patient was Italian,
Hmm.
so she knew, of course, all these back in the day Italian songs. So she would call me mamacita,
Okay.
right? Because then I would teach her some words, and then
Hmm.
she would hear me, and she said, "Oh, here comes mamacita," and so there was this connection, right? So we clicked. She would sing to me. I figured, all right, let's do it. So you know what I did? I actually learned how to sing those. I forced myself to sing those songs in Italian just to make her happy. You know what? I was the one that ended up even happier than her.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then when I
Yeah.
left work, I just feel so good. This is work. Wow.
It's
Yeah.
it's creating
Yeah.
that connection, and
Yeah.
a lot of times music helps us do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are lots of stories out there of caregivers, that create this joy to others, and it's a beautiful thing. I want to
Hmm.
thank you so much for sharing this time here on the show. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your valuable time. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for
Thank
having me.
you.